Hello, Community 9 here for the Topic of the Week video. This week I'm going to be talking about humanizing characters. And by humanizing, I'm talking about ruining them and claiming that them being worse people is more realistic. This week's topic was submitted by Tumblr user mariehaptism, and their topic is, can we talk about humanizing in the Avatar series? Some fans say that Legend of Korra is more human because they think Bryke made more morally gray characters in conflicts, and claim Avatar The Last Airbender's conflict is too black and white and one-dimensional. Can you talk about how humanizing in Avatar The Last Airbender is better written and more humanizing than Legend of Korra? You can also bring up Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra villains into this topic. Okay. This is a problem that I've seen in several franchises where they take characters, beloved characters, established characters, they twist them and make them worse, whether they're, worse written, more bland, or even more despicably awful, and claim that this is realistic and humanizing. You'll see that word a lot from defenders, where they'll say that, oh, this is humanizing them because they weren't human before. I'm going to be talking a bit about Team Avatar in this. Oh no, not Korra and the crew. I'm going to talk about the OG Team Avatar, the gang. I know I've talked a bit about this before in previous topics about ways that the characters have been ruined. Like, the characters from Avatar The Last Airbender have been ruined in Legend of Korra, usually to make the newer characters look better. But I want to talk about a specific aspect of this that a lot of people claim it humanizes them. And it's literally one of the worst defenses I've seen of this, because it doesn't even apply. This is something that you've seen in other places. One of the worst examples has to be Luke in The Last Jedi. You take a character who is genuinely optimistic, who was always willing to fight to the bitter end, turn him into this nasty, selfish hermit who doesn't care about anyone, tries to murder his own family, and when everyone is in danger, he just sits on his butt going, nee. And the reason why so many people flipped out at The Last Jedi, and rightfully so, because it's a worthless garbage film, is because Luke's been around since 1977. While you have other characters like Aang, who a lot of people do love, you have multiple generations of people who love this character. You have people who, over decades, have fallen in love with, the original trilogy characters. And then to see Luke, this great character, and especially considering, how he was portrayed in other, mediums like the EU, seeing this character reduced to this despicable, just unpleasantly awful person, yeah, it pissed people off. Similar thing happened to a lesser extent in the Halo games, the new Halo games. Especially with Halo 4, where they were trying to really hammer in this, humanizing element for Chief. Except anyone who actually knows anything about John 117's character can tell you he was already human before. You don't even, the books. You go read The Fall of Reach, you go read First Strike, and then tell me that Chief doesn't have any character, especially since Halo 4 was supposed to be appealing to the, people who know the lore. No. Even if you play the original Halo games, not even reading the books and going into the expanded universe. That one scene where he reunites with Cortana at the end of Halo 3, and he talks to her, and she's practically broken, and he's, trying to re-inspire her, and, and showing how he's, going to get her out. Oh, yeah, there's no humanity to Chief. He's just a robot, guys. Yeah, no. And this is what happens when you bring in people who don't care about Halo to make Halo games. But the actual topic of this is about Avatar The Last Airbender characters. Okay, Legend of Korra has a big problem overall with being extremely simplified in black and white, while trying desperately to pretend that it's got morally gray conflicts. And in some ways, these are morally gray conflicts, but unfortunately, Bryke's inability to write ends up making all of these conflicts appear black and white. Book one, which is the best season of Legend of Korra, period. Everything else is infinitely worse. Like, it's, I guess, not even arguable. Books 3 and 4 are absolute trash. But the conflict in book 1, the best season, is very interesting. So I've talked about this before, and I stand by the things I've said ever since I started being critical of Legend of Korra back in 2012. Wow. Is that it's a very interesting conflict. You have this idea that benders are being oppressive to non-benders, and then because of this, you have a figure, Amon, who rises up, and he's a bad guy, yes, a terrorist, of course, but he's got a point. Especially when you see the way Korra acts, the way she uses her bending and her imposing physical power to dominate other people and treat them like trash. Consistently. The way benders, like the bending mafias, the triads, the way they attack non-benders. Yeah, it's hard to, and especially the all-bending council with Tarlok going full tyrannical, being a fascist, trying to be a fascist dictator. Yeah, is it any reason why these non-benders feel that way? And then you have this very interesting conflict where Korra comes in, not really knowing what's going on, people who hate her for being the Avatar, and she has to try to solve a conflict with someone who has a point. So how do they handle it? Oh, Amon bad. Bad man bad. Just, that's it. Amon's bad. He's a liar, and the equals just go away. And this happens every single time. Even with Book 2, with Unalaq, who's a character who's supposed to be this morally gray villain, who wants, his people to become more spiritual, who he feels like in the modernization of their culture that they've lost the spirituality. Oh no, he's just an evil bad guy who invades and wants to destroy the world or something? Really? And when people want to say that these... I'm talking about a bit about villains here, but... this is what people say is more human than Avatar The Last Airbender. This is less black and white. It's even more black and white. You know what's morally gray? When the gang go into the Fire Nation and they meet people in the Fire Nation who are just normal people. There's one episode that I really love to point to, is the headband. Aang ends up going into a school with a bunch of other Fire Nation students, and you have all these people, these normal people, and you can tell that the only reason these people are on the bad side is because they're being fed propaganda. You have all this fascist propaganda propping up Ozai as this incredible figure to be worshipped. And the fact that they're pushing like revisionist history, claiming that the air nomads had an army. They were a bunch of monks. They didn't have an army. It's all to fit the narrative that the Fire Nation are the good guys doing good things. From all these people who are separate from the actual wars going on, while the Fire Nation is going out destroying everything and conquering, all these people there, I mean, how can they know? Their government's telling them, hey, we're the good guys. So everyone's like, yeah, we're the good guys. They don't realize that they're part of the bad guys that have been destroying everything. But you see these people, and you see people in Book 3 that are just normal Fire Nation people. That really does give a morally gray, view to the war. It's not just Fire Nation bad, it's, the Fire Nation military is bad, the leadership, Ozai, is bad, but that doesn't mean every single person who lives here is bad. And in fact, they also do a good job when they introduce Hama, who is a waterbender, who you think, a waterbender, and Guitar's like, oh my gosh, a waterbender in the Fire Nation, only to find out that Hama is just as evil and despicable as the Fire Nation. It's not a black and white issue, and it really never was. the good guys, back in book 1, once they get to the Northern Water Tribe, they try to, Katara tries to learn, waterbending, only to be told to basically the waterbending equivalent of get back in the kitchen. That she needs to learn healing, and that's what female waterbenders do when she wants to learn to fight. You have and these are good guys. It's like, these aren't some bad guys. This isn't Fire Nation. These are good guys. And people genuinely have the audacity to claim that Legend of Korra is more morally gray and less black and white than Avatar: The Last Airbender. And you see this throughout the show. Remember that one Earth Kingdom general, one who tried to force Aang into using the Avatar state? He's technically a good guy. He's on the side of the good guys. He did some bad stuff. He had good reasons to. He wanted Aang to be able to use the Avatar state to fight against the Fire Nation. But then he made him think that Katara died, and everything went to hell. He was trying to put Aang in these terrible, stressful situations. Sure, he may have a good reason to, but he's doing some horrible stuff. This is the beauty of this. You see characters like in the headband, Onji. She's just this nice, sweet girl. Yeah, she's a member of the Fire Nation. It's like, you see, there are shades of gray on all sides. There are bad people on the good guy side and good people on the bad guy side. Shoot, you have Zuko's entire character arc, where he's developing over the course of the 3 seasons, where he goes from being an out-and-out villain to an out-and-out hero by the end. And all of the shades of gray in between. Like that one time when he helped that one village from those bandits, but the second it came out, and he had this wonderful episode where, everyone, oh, you're great. I think his name was Lee at the time, like he was going by that. And then all of a sudden, when it was revealed that he was Prince Zuko of the Fire Nation, everyone hated him, even though he saved their lives. These people who you'd gotten attached to turned on him in an instant. I could go on with Avatar: The Last Airbender, but there are so many situations that are morally gray. There's so many situations in it that aren't just black and white. It's not like, these people good, these people bad, that's it. No, it's far more shades of gray. Going into the actual characters. Aang, this is the primary one. I talked a bit about this, and now I'll talk a little bit specifically about Toph and Katara too. I talked more about Zuko. I talked more about Sokka, but he's barely in Legend of Korra, even in flashbacks. Suki, frankly, I don't think outside of the opening narration for book 1, that I don't even think Suki's even mentioned. And if she is, it's a very small moment. So it's like, yeah, I guess they wanted to keep things ambiguous whether she and Sokka got together officially and got married, because I guess they really wanted to sell that stupid love triangle BS in the comics. But let's talk a little bit about Aang. Let's focus on that for a minute. Aang is a very complex character. He's a kid. He starts off the show at 12 years old. He is told that he's the Avatar way earlier than he should have been, because, well, it was a choice made by the monks. And because of that choice, he was isolated, ostracized, and had people, his friends, his family, treat him differently. And then, the one person that he adored most of all, Monk Gyatso, a man who's like a father to Aang, they were going to take him away. And Aang is a kid. He ran ended up coming back anyway, but he got caught in the storm and stuck in the ice for 100 years. And when he wakes up, he finds that his people, his entire race, has been genocided into extinction. And is it any wonder why you see times when he acts his worst? When Appa is stolen, Appa, the last piece of his culture, of the air nomad culture that's still alive. When it's taken from him and he loses it, when he starts getting violent, Katara has to step in and calm him down, because he was probably going to murder those sandbenders. Or the time when he hid the letter from, Sokka and Katara about their dad, because he was terrified of them leaving him. Because, a guy who's experienced the fact that his entire race has been extinct for 100 years. The fact that he's the last airbender. He is the last person of his culture. He's the last person left. He's terrified. He's terrified that they'll leave. Is it the right decision? No. But that's the point. Aang does some bad things. And this is part of his character, his development. Aang realizes that he doesn't really have the right to hold that information. And Sokka and Katara get mad. But ultimately they realize, well, he's the Avatar. This is kind of bigger than all of them. Ending the 100-year war is kind of a big deal. They all come together and they learn from this. Aang has to learn over the course of the series that he can't run away. And he starts to really learn this back in book 1, but he really starts to learn that he can't run away from being the Avatar. He may not want it. He may have initially rejected it. But the Avatar needs to do this. It's Aang's destiny. It's Aang's duty. And he comes to understand this, respect this, and fulfill that duty. That's a great character. There's a reason why so many people love Aang. He is a good character. And what do they turn him to in Legend of Korra? Well, apparently an abusive, neglectful father. Because the man who cared about all life, the man who experienced the loss of everyone who was like a family to him, all of his race, everyone, all the other air nomads, all gone. He would completely neglect his own family. This is where you get a lot of people, and I remember this. I remember a lot of people were saying this back when Book 2 was airing. This makes Aang more human. No, it doesn't. It just makes him a dick. And this is totally out of character for Aang. It's like you're telling me that he only took Tenzin to the Ember Islands. He didn't take his two other children. He didn't take them. Oh no, he just focused on the airbender, because if you don't have airbending, Aang doesn't even consider you worth his time. Holy crap, that's not even remotely in character. You're telling me he wouldn't drag the entire family, every year to go see the Ember Islands to see what stupid plays they put on because it's freaking hilarious? You tell me he wouldn't do that? You tell me he wouldn't also drag Sokka and Zuko and Toph there every year going, let's see what they did, No. Especially when they also try to make references to that little ball trick where he's like, even as an adult, when they try to have banter between him and Toph in the past and, the flashbacks in Book 1, you still try to keep that element of his personality, but then go, yeah, but he was also a raging douchebag. The only people who liked this were Zutara shippers. So, because they can justify their hatred of Aang that has no basis. Because, hey, look, this is great now. We get to hate on Aang for real now. It's stupid. It's terrible. This doesn't make any sense. And even then, he still treats Tenzin like crap, expecting him to be able to just go into the spirit world? Like, the Avatar is the only person who can just go into the spirit world. That's kind of a big deal. That's why they're the bridge between, the human world and the spirit world. It takes any other human a lot of effort and a hell of a lot of time to figure this out. The only person that I remember ever being stated to be able to do this that wasn't like an Avatar was Iroh. And he's freaking mother effing Uncle Iroh. And you're telling me that Aang expected Tenzin to do that? I mean, it'd be nice. Yeah. A big accomplishment. But this expectation that he'd be able to do that, and then, and then Aang, and because of this, he scars Tenzin for decades to come. And this is the thing. Aang treated Tenzin, Kia, and Bumi so terribly that even in their 50s, they have these deep-rooted issues. I'm sorry, that's stupid. It's terrible, and then they just resolve this going, yeah, our father neglected us and treated us like crap, but look at this family picture, and then boom, it's all done. Really? That's it? You irreparably damage Aang's character and then just go, all right, time to move on. Yeah, that's Bryke. That's kind of what they do. But it's like, no, that's not Aang. This isn't more human. Aang being a dick isn't more human, and I hate this because when people say stuff like this, it comes with the implication that being a worse person, acting nasty, vile, abusive, neglectful, even murderous, is somehow more realistic. No, I'm gonna have to get a hard pass on that. This isn't even just an optimistic versus pessimistic. Realistic, it's like, yes, there's good and bad. But Avatar: The Last Airbender already covered that. It already showed that Aang made mistakes. It showed Aang learn from them. And it showed Aang grow. It showed Aang become a better person. What about Korra? The one who's violent, nasty, and basically terrible to everyone? The person who's constantly shilled by people? Who basically screws up everything. Yes, books 3 and 4 of Legend of Korra were caused by Korra's inane stupidity. Her leaving the spirit portals open, which is a stupid, terrible idea. I remember being pissed off at that when I watched the book 2 finale. No, that's stupid. And shock of all shocks, it caused more problems. She caused all of those problems that happened. And apparently she's still the greatest Avatar ever. She can threaten people with murder. She can try to murder people. But it's okay. But Aang, no. Aang needs to be portrayed as a terrible person who, even the worst stuff that they show him doing, still pales in comparison to how awful Korra is. But you really gotta think that the old crew, they're losers. They're terrible people. They're deadbeat parents. Yeah. Korra, she's the one we like. She's great. This self-absorbed narcissistic prick. Yeah, she's the one we need to like. And with all of this that goes on with Aang, they also screw up Katara by having her not be involved at all. Katara, who is fiercely protective, very motherly. She very much had a strong maternal instinct even back in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Someone who very, very much had strong feelings about her family. Oh no, she just let Aang abuse the children. Oh, you silly gooses. Oh, being neglected. Oh, are you serious? Katara would never do this. She would never do this. If Aang did anything like that to the children, Katara would be slapping him into shape going, don't you dare treat our children like that. But no, they have to make Katara worse too. Look, I don't even like, Katara and Aang as a couple. I genuinely don't. They're well written in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I just never got into them as a pairing. But I respect how well they were written, and I honestly don't appreciate how their relationship is completely twisted and destroyed in Avatar and Legend of Korra. It's bad writing, is what it is. And Toph, I talked a lot about Toph being a terrible parent. Someone who sleeps around, never settled down, treats her children like crap, pits them against each other. Apparently treats Lin worse than Suyin, even though Suyin is an absolute monster, a worthless, vile scum of a person. Oh, no. She's our Mary Sue character, so we can't treat her bad. Lin's the one who needs to get treated bad and have all these issues. Yay! More parental issues for people in their 50s. Because that's what I wanted to see in a sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. The characters that we've known and loved for years turn out to be complete awful people. And Toph would never. What? It's like they were so desperate to avoid this. Oh, well, who's Lynn's dad? She slept around. Seriously? You're going to portray Toph, a character who might be one of the most popular characters in the entire show, like that? Oh, this is more realistic, right? Because portraying them as having completely sleazy morals is more realistic. You could look up to the characters. When they were kids, when these people are 12 or 14 years old, they were far more mature and thoughtful and intelligent than these people are in their 50s, 60s, and even, older, like in the older generation. It's like, and it's Aang, as a 12-year-old, was more mature than Korra in her late teens. Seriously. All these other characters are just immature. And why? Well, mainly because you have Brian and Mike, who don't have a solid grasp on what's right and wrong, to be perfectly honest. These are guys who claim that cheating on your girlfriend is just a natural part of a relationship. Big yikes. But this isn't more human. It's not. Like I said, this goes with the really terrible idea that being human means that you're a worse person. That humanity is just inherently awful, and that good is, fleeting? All those times when Aang was a good person in, Avatar: The Last Airbender, was that just a fluke? And his true personality is that he's a neglectful dick who emotionally abuses his children? No. And this is the problem when people try to say that Legend of Korra is canon. It's not. It's about as canon as Episode 7, 8, and Solo are to the other Star Wars movies. As in, they're not, because they're worthless garbage. And it frustrates me that so many people do defend this, especially with this idea of, it's realistic, it's more human. No. I thoroughly reject that. I thoroughly do. Because anyone who says that makes it seem like they think that being human, that being realistic, means you're a terrible person. It's freaking just stupid soap opera logic. It's like freaking when you're watching a show like Once Upon a Time, where characters will just do stupid stuff just to make a plot happen. No, that's not realistic. That's the writers not knowing how the hell to write any characters and just doing whatever's convenient. And it pisses me off. It's bad writing. When you write a realistic character, there needs to be good and bads. And if you want this character to be even remotely close to actually being a good guy, it might be best not to make them an absolute worthless piece of human garbage, and then try to treat that as being realistic. It's not. This is like Luke. Luke trying to murder his own nephew is realistic. Because look, he fought Darth Vader. Yeah, you do realize that he didn't want to fight Darth Vader? And he tried to redeem Darth Vader? One of the most vile and monstrous people in the galaxy? And he succeeded? He succeeded in turning Darth Vader back to the light side. And you're telling me that he saw good in this monster, and then he sees his nephew and he's like, I sense a sliver of darkness. Time to off the bugger. And it's like, no, he wouldn't. It's out of character. It's stupid. It would never happen. And this is the problem. People don't understand. They're not thinking about it. Because they see this at the surface level and they don't think about this. They don't think about how it makes sense or how it doesn't make sense. They just think, oh, well, that happened, so it must make sense. And no, I encourage people, really think about this. Genuinely think about this. Think about what makes sense. Think about if a character would actually be doing this. Because when these characters have these such radical shifts and end up becoming worse people for no reason, yeah, it's generally not good writing. So I think that's about it for this topic. If you want to submit a topic to me, you can comment below if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Tumblr, you can send me an ask and put topic : and then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Or you can send me a topic submission on my new Discord, which you can find linked down below. Just make sure to follow the rules that I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. So if there are any characters that have been ruined with the justification that it's more human, please comment below. And thank you for watching.